Hi, how are you going?
Good evening.
Sorry, I'm going to keep talking about governance, but it may be a question of policy, so I'm happy for Senator Ayres, Minister Ayres, to answer it. Why?
Just about to put a cough lolly in my mouth, but I might wait.
Okay, right. Well, I'm
Excellent
sure.
contribution, Minister. Thank you.
Yes.
Always happy to help.
Shouldn't, and I'm happy to get both points of view here, but shouldn't super funds actually allow members to elect their board? I mean, wouldn't that be a much more democratic process?
Well, that sounds like a matter of policy, and it's not something that that the government's contemplating.
Don't you think they should contemplate it, given that the members... So do you think... Let me put another question. Put it another way. Shouldn't the members have a say in who manages their money?
These funds, I assume you're referring to the industry funds.
No, I'm actually referring to both funds. I'm not taking sides here. I've got...
The other funds are private funds, and they don't have those sorts of arrangements. They are for-profit funds.
But they're still appointed as well, aren't they?
The industry funds have been very successful. It's a very successful model. The government's obviously...
That's not the question.
The government's obviously, alive to future reforms to support the growth of superannuation, but you'd have to say all these decades down the track from when unions and employers in these industries founded industry superannuation, many of them after very difficult industrial struggles to form these funds, to establish them in the award system.
Yeah,
and through the enterprise bargaining system, over that period, it has been a very, very successful model in the national interest and in the interests of
that's a matter of opinion.
Workers who now have retirement income that they otherwise would not have had.
A lot of people don't actually. The median balance for women aged 60 to 64 is 158,000. So I wouldn't consider that a figure to retire on.
If you've got questions about superannuation policy,
yep,
APRA is probably not the place to ask it.
Well, they oversee superannuation funds. And don't avoid the question.
Well, the prudential regulation of superannuation funds, I'm sure Mr Lonsdale will be delighted to answer your questions.
Well, and that involves governance.
Policy questions.
And part of the problem here is the poor governance that we've just seen in the last 2 weeks. It's been disclosed that Cbus Super haven't been paying out people in a timely manner, and other super funds.
That's why we have regulation as these problems emerge.
Well, clearly we haven't had good enough regulation, because I've spoken to people directly who are dealing with the grief of losing a loved one, and then the super funds making it very difficult for these people to access their money to help pay for the bills.
Well, as I've indicated, that's why we have a prudential regulation arrangements, and that's why we have the other regulation arrangements that engage with superannuation. And when the regulator discovers an issue that they need to engage with, that's what they do.
And okay, well, I'll leave it as a comment that I think the members should be able to have a vote. I mean, we vote in democracy. We should be voting in the way our capital is actually allocated. Should super funds also seek direct proxies before they get to vote in AGMs? So companies actually have AGMs where they get to appoint the board, but yet super funds who aren't elected, or super boards who aren't elected, then go and vote in companies' AGMs without seeking the intentions of their members. Do you think that's democratic?
Well, again, Senator, I think you've arrived probably in the wrong place for that.
No, I think
question.
I'm in the right place, actually.
In terms of the agenda, you're very welcome here. But in terms of these questions about the regulation environment, if you ask me what I think about that, I think superannuation boards have got to make decisions about all sorts of questions, including making judgments about their ownership of businesses or parts of businesses, and they've got to make those decisions wisely.
Last question.
people weren't actually given a choice. I'll leave this comment because I actually will have one other question. People weren't actually given a choice to actually ever, if they ever wanted to hand over 12% of their wages. But I'll leave that as a
group
comment.
of
But
words.
Authorised G. Rennick People First Chermside.